So I have already created a new project. Let me just open this. When you create a new project, this is the first screen you see in your Android Studio. Now it tells you please choose your project, so you can choose your wearables, you can choose TV, you can choose Android Auto, you can choose Android things. But we are going back to phone and tablet because that's what the focus is. So there are different things here. Don't worry about all those things if you don't understand them. As we continue, all of this will be very simple to you, and we're gonna like break them down when if we have more time together. So this is an empty activity. It's basically one screen, and that's all. You might wonder what is an activity. Um, don't worry, don't get confused, but just take an activity as just one page. You can keep that memory. Activity is just one page that helps you do one particular thing. But activity does so many other things, but let's just use that for now. So you click on next, then now you put in your application. Now the name of your application is very important. So if you're creating a baking app for Jumia or whatever, you're gonna type in Jumia. You're going to type in Jumia baking app. So this is exactly what you're going to type. And now the next thing is your package. Now you can see what a package is. Simply means is a unique name for your particular app. So there may be other apps which might be Jumia baking app, but your package is unique. So you can put in your company's domain name. You can put in com.jumia.com.ng, wherever you want. It's just your choice. Now this is telling you, oh, save this project in my C user, my documents, and put it in a new folder. And now remember we talked about the programming language. Not currently it's just two, but we're going to select just Java. Now this is the minimum API level. Now what this means is I want to be specific in the devices I want to target in my Android app. Imagine you're reading an Android app which works on Bluetooth and you're targeting a very old Android version which doesn't even use Bluetooth. The app will crash. So you won't target apps like that. So you target apps. Now you can see the different Android versions with the name 4.4.1 Jelly Bean, 4.4 KitKat, Lollipop, Marshmallow, and they have what we call API level, which is API 16, 17, and API basically means application programming interface. It's a set of code that someone has written, and they say, oh, use this code and do whatever you want to do. You don't need to bother about how this code is written, but just use it to do what you want it to do. Basically, that's what an API does, and you use it for your own use case and click on finish. So when Android Studio builds finish, this is exactly the first page you're going to see. So you're going to see this scary looking face, but it's not really scary. You have different panes here. Our focus will be just on the project pane. And when we come closer to the project pane, we see a drop down button. You click on this, you have different things here. You click on, we're going to focus more on Android, which is make our life more simpler. Then you click on app, click on manifest, and click on Android manifest.xml. Now what is this? Now Android manifest.xml basically is a table of contents. It's basically telling your app or telling you that this is the basic things that my app will contain. Just like a book will contain the chapter 1 and the chapter 2. If you have two activities or two pages in your app, you're gonna see it here. You're gonna see activity 1 and see activity 2. If it's a big Android app which has a large code base means the codes that have been written for that project is going to be, we can see many activities here, many pages which are much. Then the next thing we see here is an icon. Now this is basically the icon launcher. When you see some apps like Facebook or Instagram, and that before you click on the app, you see an icon. This is where you specify, oh, this is the icon I want from my app to use when a user installs my app maybe for the first time. And this is label. Don't worry about this, it's not really important now. As you go on, you're going to understand all of this, but I just want to talk a little about this. This is activity, and it's basically telling you that you see an intent filter and action. So whenever you create an intent filter, you basically want to create actions and category. So the action is basically telling Android that this is the main entry point to my application. So when I click run button, this is the first screen I want to show the user. Do not show them my login, do not show them my registration, just show them my main activity. That's what that means. The next is category, is telling you the category of that main. The main is meant to launch that activity. That's basically what it's saying. And that is the Android manifest of XML. We can close this here, close this. We open this is a core package, open a package called Java. When you click on Java, I don't know if you're seeing, let me see if I can zoom. Then you click on another package. Now you see three packages here. Now the one you're going to be writing all your app functionality is going to be on this first one, which does not have any brackets. These other ones have bracket for testing your Android applications. Not important in this lesson. You open this part and we see we have just one Java class, which is called main activity. Hope you remember main activity. Let's go back to our manifest. Main activity. Yes, this is our main activity. So this is the main activity that we created when our app was launched. Now there are things I'm seeing here which looks very scary. Example is public, is a class, is main activity, extend, app compat. Wow, what are all of this? Well, this is basically saying the name of this activity, which is the main activity. You can change this to whatever activity you want. You can change this to sign-in activity, login activity, registration activity if you want that. It's not important. It's just you yourself understanding what code you are writing. If you change this to login activity and it's actually a dashboard activity, it won't really show and it make any difference in your Android app. It's just you as a developer writing the code so that you not get confused in whatever you're doing, just making you more organized. And what this basically means is this main activity is a normal Java class. Jeff explained what a class means in JavaScript, and it's basically the same thing in Java. What a class is in JavaScript is the same thing in Java. The difference is just the syntax, the way it's going to be written. So class is part of the object-oriented programming, which explains more about some things of classes and objects, but we don't need to go into more details. So this is just an ordinary Java class, and this keyword extend is saying that I want to inherit properties of app compat activity. Now this app compat activity was generated for you by Android. You did not do it yourself. So it's saying, oh, this is a normal Java class, but I want to get some and abilities that a normal activity should have or pages should have. That's what it's saying. And the next method is onCreate method. And onCreate method, the most important thing I want to look at in onCreate method is set content view how.layout.activity.main. Now where do they find this file? We get them. So what this folder, this file basically means is all your app logic, everything written in your Java file or your Kotlin file. This is where you're going to write everything. So if you go back to res, which stand for resources, you go to your drawables. Now drawables is where you put all your images and your logos and many other things. You create them in your drawables folder. Now an interesting package is this guy called the layout. This is very interesting. Now if you see here, we see a name called activity underscore main dot xml, and we go back here to our main activity.java, we see the same name, activity underscore main, but no .xml. So what is going on here? Well, when you created a new Android Studio and you created a new project, automatically it creates a Java class for you and it creates an XML file for you, and it connects that XML file to your Java file for you. Normally there is no connection between your main activity.java and your activity underscore main.xml. Now this set content view, which is derived from the R class, this itself is what links the connection from your main activity to your activity main.xml. And one thing I love Android is that it separates your constraints, it separates your logic from your layout. So all the designs, the UI you see, they're all done in your layout. Yes, you can do some in your main activity, but they're all done in your layout, and that's where you should be doing your layout and your views and many other things you might want to do. So when you open this activity underscore main.xml, we see something really interesting. This opens another world to us. Now, when you open this activity main.xml, we see a tab underneath here. We see design and we see text. Design, text. So remember the extension we called here, activity main.xml. XML simply means extensible markup language. If you were in the HTML class, you learned what HTML is. For those who did HTML, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it's what helps you to structure your contents in your page. So this is actually what helps we as Android developers to actually design our own layouts. Layouts basically the structure, the user interface, what the user sees. But for us to make that thing work, we need the main activity dot java. And let's go back a little bit. We've talked a lot. Imagine that this activity underscore main.xml is your television in your house, your home screen TV, your flat screen TV, your smart TV, whatever TV you have. This is activity main.xml, and your TV is fine. It may have a color, maybe have a brand, maybe LG or Samsung. But now you want that TV to on. If you use your remote and you press the power button and it doesn't come up, you will go back and return that TV because it's not working. It's not worth the money you spent in getting it. But when you click on the power button and your connections are configured properly and your TV opens, you will feel happy because yes, you bought your TV and now you are seeing the value of what you bought. That's it. So what exactly makes that TV to work? There were so many logics, many hardware that were imputed, circuit boards in the back of your TV, which make that TV to actually function properly. Just designing the screen and everything will not make that TV work. You have to build some strong hardware that will compatible with your TV. and that's basically what is happening here. This is your TV, your UI, what you see. But for your TV to work, it needs powerful hardware, and this is main activity. For your programs to work, your apps to work, you need to add logic to your Android apps, and that is where your Java or your Kotlin file comes in. They help you to add logic to your Android app. Hope that is clear. So now when you open Android Studio, you launch for the first time, it generates this for you and creates a text view called Hello World, which you can see here. Android text Hello World. This is simply telling you the width and the height, wrap content. It's kind of confusing, but we're gonna explain it later on. When you switch to the design tab, and let's close this here, we can zoom in. You see the text which we saw here, which is Hello World, which is this here, which is Hello World. So basically, it's a custom and programming to always run your first Hello World. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run this on a physical device. Android Studio can actually throw you up off guard. So I'm very prepared. So what I did was I've already run this app and I have an emulator which I will bring here. And we already have an emulator running in the background. So I'm gonna run this app so you can see the Hello World running. So as we wait for Hello World to run, which is Create You Build running, let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing on Android Studio itself, more about the components built in Android Studio. So the first part you have is a palette. Now the palette, basically what it does is giving you the views which you will need to build your app, and it categorize it in different sections. It categorizes it in common. Common is basically what you use often, frequently. So they know you're going to use text view frequently, a button, an image view, a recycler view, a fragment, a scroll view, and a switch. That's basically what that is. So the next tab is the text. And the text, basically what it means is you adding things to your text view. I'm so happy that this understood it through an error, so you actually see how we debug our Android applications. Now, telling me now is error. Now let's read the error together. It's telling me AAPT app error is incompatible with attribute background reference color. And when you click on this, that particular file or that particular example that is incompatible with what I am doing. So it's telling us that this is incompatible. So we set a background color on this app, and this is the app that actually runs. So let's go back here. Don't really need this for now. I'm gonna comment this. So what I clicked was it was control backslash. I commented this layout or design I created, and let's run this again. And so let's go back to our activity main. So you see, basically every day you face bugs. Like that was just a bug that would just come up. So every day you face different bugs, and so yeah, it's more like it was interesting when you solve that bug and you move on to what you want to do. Okay, we have the error again. So what is it still telling us? It's still telling us Android resource linking failed. Layout beta.example. Now let's go deep. I'm not going to confuse you much. Let's go straight to that layout. And let's delete this. And let's run our app. Yeah. So next thing is button. You need to add button view to your Android app. So these buttons are basically your login button, buttons that you basically want your user to do or perform a certain action or a certain request. You create buttons for it, and the different types of buttons you can create. You have an image button, a floating action button. This is a very familiar button where you see the button on this side, which is mainly a circular button by the downside. Then you have widgets. Now, widgets are building blocks of your apps. Like you can't do things without your widgets, basically. So you have your image view, a web view. A web view is what helps you to actually display a web page, but necessarily your app it might not be a web browser, but it actually displays a web URL for you if you want to. So this is basically the componentry. Now, if we go back, change back to our text, we see that we have something called a constraint layout. Now, layouts are basically how you nest or how you structure views. So our understudy has built, and you see install successfully finished. 36 seconds, 84, 845 milliseconds. So if we go back here and we go to our layout, then you see here we have our hello world shown in our Android app. Now we faced the bug. I didn't skip the bug to edit it away from the video. I wanted you to actually see how we actually face problems and how what way you can actually embrace those bugs or errors that you might find when you are actually facing or having problems. So now this is like basic tour of Android Studio, and I want us to actually do a little ant coding. So the folder I deleted, I'm going to paste it back here. I'm going to undo this. And what I'm going to do is I want us to actually implement this UI. Now, many of you might be saying, oh, I don't know what it's saying. But trust me, this video is recorded so you can take your time to go back and listen and get all of these things more back again if you actually want to get them. So they're there for you. You can just go there and actually see it. So this is basically what we're going to be building. I am not a designer. I'm sorry. I'm not a designer. I am a developer. I don't design. So if you design looks terrible, I'm very sorry. So but this is what we're going to try to do. We're going to build a simple login app. There is no app. Okay, there are actually some apps that don't really have login pages, but many apps, when users want you to when they want you to save things or do other things, they always create this login app. But nowadays there's login with Facebook and Google, which make it faster. But if you're in a company and they say, oh, we want to have our own custom login page, you have to build it. Will. So we're going to try and build exactly this. So when we are building this, I'm going to a little bit show you and explain to you the different views you have in Android. Now let's step back a little bit. We've talked a lot. We've talked about setting up Android Studio. We've talked about manifest file, main activity.java, our XML files, view groups, constraint layout, our different palette, common text, buttons. We've seen how to run our Android our apps. Many of you may be using the old version. This is actually Android Studio 3.5, so you may not really see the play button. You see the play button when it's the first time I launch the app. For now, all I have to do is click on apply changes, and it actually just restarts the app faster that way. So yeah, Android Studio is becoming very light. It's becoming very light. So let's start this. Let's start to implement this design. This is actually a design I want us to implement. So we have an image, we have a an edit text where users can input things. We have a link, which is like it's another page for forget password. We have a login button, and we have don't have an account, register. So all of this is what we're going to do. Before we continue this, there's some layouts and resources I didn't really show you completely. The values are very important. Now when you click on colors, now this define the colors in your app. We have the color primary, you have the color primary dark, and the color accent. Now if you go back to our emulator, I hope I'm not talking too fast. If I am talking too fast, I apologize. If you go to your emulator here, then you see this color here. You see this color in this action bar. You know what an action bar is later on. This is our color primary. Then we say our color primary dark is this guy here, which covers what is up. And yeah, that's basically the important colors that that you're seeing there. And this is our hello world in our app. So I created this sample colors. I created my own colors, not creating my own colors actually. So I gave it a name, a color, a name, and I gave it a value. Color, the name of it, and the value you want. So I can actually change this to black, which is 6 or just 3 dots, and you see the color showing here, which is actually black. And you can double click it, you can actually choose what colors you want to use if you want to change them to the colors that you know best for you. So we're going to change this back to FFF, which is just pure white. So now activity underscore main, yes, we have strings here. Strings define what you just basically giving your making your strings in a proper place where so that you can just reference them. But the most important thing for strings is for translation. When you create your app and you want to translate it to multiple languages, that's when strings really come in place. And stars define the whole base application theme. So this is where we actually customize everything, and this is where this color primary was actually referenced. This is just giving it the value, but here is where we define that, oh, I want the primary theme to be color primary dark, and we see the style app name, which is the app theme. If you go to your manifest is your table of contents, and we see Android theme as style app theme, which basically tells you that this is the theme I want my app to use, nothing else. So let's go to our activity main. So the first thing we're going to need is an image. Now, many apps that you're going to use, let me just clean this. Many apps you're going to require an image in your app, so you need an image. So remember, let's go to our common, or in our palette we have a search input here. We can search for image view. We can search for image view. Then we can drag this to our design, and we can center this in the middle. And now it shows this pop-up. Don't be scared, it's just showing you the pop-up. It's telling you, oh, we want the image view. Okay, choose the image view you want us to use. So you click on projects, and we see different image view attached already. Click on logo, and we click on OK. Now we see the image view here. Now, if you notice, when remember we're using constraint layout. Constraint layout is a parent layout which helps you to position your views to in a very good way by giving them different constraints. Like I want this to be here, I want this to be there. When we go more in a class, we're going to break out all of this down. I just want to show you a simple example of building UI so that you can start seeing how these things actually plays in your Android app. So and you can see automatically it creates, if you come down here to layout, which we see over here, we see it creates constraint for us because this guy here gives you an auto connection, so immediately it inferred constraints to you. Then close this. This is automatic constraint, but we'll keep this on for now. So see, I can move this to the down, to the up. It's just like a little playground. See, playing with it. So you see layout, width, wrap content, layout, height, wrap content. So basically what it means is I want you to tell me how high and how long I'm gonna actually take. So you're giving it the width, you're giving the height that you want to specify for this particular image that you've done. If you make it go to a really sneak peek and you go to your image view, you actually see the same thing. You can click on your preview, then you see what you call app source compact. So what this basically means is this is at drawable is linking to a folder backslash logo. So let's find out. It's going to our drawables, which is our drawables, but inside, like going one step inside, it goes to our logo. So we can actually change this to the one we want. So actually this purposely we're going to change this and we're going to use logo underscore fix. That is what we're going to use for this layout. And see it's a little bit smaller. So go back to our design tab and let's see. Now we want to drag take this. You see our example here. Example, this guys is at the top. So we're going to take this and we're going to give this an height of 90 dp. Now this is taking giving it a particular height. So remember it was wrap content which wraps everything to the page. But now is 90 dp. So that means from this top to this down is 90 parts I want to take. So you just like a centimeter, but 90 dp means density independent pixels. That's exactly what I want to take in this screen from top to bottom. But let's give it as 100. Let's give it 100 dp. Actually, this is 100 dp. Do you think it's too small? Yeah, I think it's too small. So let's make more fun by changing this to. We can actually change this in our other place. We can go to here, height, and change this to 120 dp. Sorry, typo, 120 dp, which gives us what we want. So the next thing we're going to need is a place where users can type in words. And if you hover around this, you see is an edit text. Now, edit text is a view which helps you to actually give the opportunity for your users to type in some input. Now, we are specifying that we want them to type in their email address. Now, let's see how we'll do that. So we've done it before with our design tab. So let's try it with our XML tab. Take it a space, take this, and we see automatically Android Studio gives us auto suggestion. So this is the beauty of using Android Studio. It gives you auto suggestion. It makes you lazy, and not really lazy, but it helps your work faster so that you can do other things that are more important. So you click on edit text, and now it's telling us, oh, choose the width of your how long you want it to be and choose it, but we want it to actually fit the content of the text. So we're going to click on wrap content, and the height should also be wrap content. Now we have a warning here, an error. Let's read the error. It's telling us the view is not constrained. It only has design time position. So what it's telling us is the view we created is not yet constrained. Please constrain this view. So let's go to our design tab. Let's go here. What we can do, we can drag this down to this place, and we can create constraints. So we see we have a right constraint, we have a left constraint. We can create this to the start. We can take this to the end, and we can constrain this to the top of the image view, and take this here. So now let's go back to our XML text tab. We're going to be switching it so you can get comfortable with both the design tab and both the text tab. So now, what do you think is missing in this place? I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Think, what do you think is missing in this edit text that we need to put here so that our user can know what to type? Yeah, you got it correctly. What is missing is an int. We need to tell our users, hey, put in your email address, hey, put in your password. So Android has this in here which helps you do that. So you type in Android space, type in int, enter. Now it says, okay, impute what int you want the user to know or to do. What we want the user to do is actually put in the email address. So what we can just do is type in email address, and you can see we have email address written here. Email address. But now this is all small letters. There is this beautiful thing we have here, which is Android. If you go down, you see text all caps true. What this basically does is it sets all the text to capital letters, but now it's an int, so it will not really set it. If I remove this int and put in actual text here, an encoded text, and put in email address, you see it automatically gives us everything in capital, even if we did not specify them to be capital here. But this is not what we want. We actually want to put an int, which is email address. Remove this, and we've closed. So we want to put in the email address. This is what we have right here, an email address. This is what we have. We have our email address. So now this is the email address. The next thing we want to do again is we want to put in this other one, which is the password. Now we can create the same thing again, or we can just come here and give this a unique ID. ID is a unique identifier that identifies, hey, this is mainly for my email address. But you may not really need this here. You need it here to do some things, but you need it more in your Java file where you add more logic to your code base. We're having an error, okay, it's cleared. So I can come here, I can click this, I can copy this and paste this here and open this. Remember, I showed us an error. Let's see what error is. Duplicate ID. already defined earlier in this layout. So I know you know what this means. It's telling us you have two IDs of the same name. Please change one, or I'll change it for you. Android Studio. So we'll close this, clean this, and type in password, and our error goes. Then the int, we're going to change this int to tell the user to put in a password. But there's something wrong with our layout. When we copy this, we are seeing that they are all jam-packed together. For those who are not Nigerian, jam-packed means they're all squeezed together, like all together. So we're going to go to our this tab, and we're going to see that they're actually telling us that we have email address and we have password. So what is wrong? When we copy this, it's not really smart enough to know that we should go to the next line. So what we're going to do, we're going to select our password here. I'm going to drag this below our email address. Aha! Now we have something presentable. Now we have our email address, we have our password. We're going to fix the design a little bit when we're done. Email, password. Now automatically it's creating constraint for us because we have auto connect constraint. The next thing we need is from our design is a for text. So what do you think we need to add below here? Do we need to add a button or an edit text or a text view? Yes, we need to add a text view to this space. So we click here and we drag this guy down here. We add a text view to it, and we change the text to say forgot your password. Then we create constraint to the right, left, to the right. Then we constrain this to the top of the password. Then we take it down. Just trying to align this properly. So we have our forget password. And now we want the last thing we want to add. Well, really the last thing is our button. Now this is something different new. We've not really added a button before. We added an image view, we added an edit text, which is a plain text. We added a password field and we added a forgot your password. How do we add a button? Where do we go to search for a button? Let's try it here. Let's search for button. We have nothing. No search inputs. Nothing is coming out. Where should we go to? What do you think? Should we go to our palette? Or we should keep on typing here? Maybe to give us automatically. Palette. That's where we should go. Type in button, or we see it there. And we drag this guy down. And now we see a line. It's more of telling you, oh, where do you want to align this? To the center, to this. We want to align this to the forgot your password field. And we have a button here. But our button is so ugly. Like, this button is very, very ugly. Let's fix this. So let's change our text. Log in. Okay, that doesn't do much. Just change the text. We need to add color to this text. Remember, in our colors, we specified a login button color, which is this. So we could actually copy this, copy, and go to activity main, go to text. Let's close this a little bit. Sorry, if it's being rough. We can come here and add, instead of adding, say, starting with typing Android, which is okay, column background, then we can just add this and it adds the color. We've already specified there, so we're going to put add color login button. This is going to put in that button color, because it's like putting a reference to that button. So we have an error. The same view is not constrained, so we need to constrain this also. So we'll constrain left, we constrain this to the right. The reason why we constrain this is so that these views will not push or turn upside down at runtime. Runtime is when the view is being run. So when we click this run, this play button, that's what we're talking about basically. So we'll constrain this and we're fine. The next thing we need to add is our text, which is don't have an account. We added a text view, we'll do the same thing here. We'll drag this here and put in this, and the text is gonna be don't have an account. And we're gonna drag this a little bit to the left. Then we're gonna add another text view, which is basically gonna be register. And take this a little bit up. And if you remember our color.xml, we have a color specifically for register button. So we're gonna go back to activity main. So we've been going through the colors through this path. You can simply search for it here, search for color, and we see text color. We change this to at color backslash, and we go down to our register button color. And we're going to set that color specifically for this. And we go back to our color, we see that we have a text color for all the text views. So let's go back to our email address. We change this to at color, at text color. We change this to at color text color. And we do the same thing for this. At color text color. Alright. So now our login button is quite funny from this. This a little bit. This expands a little bit. So this is not the height. This is actually the width of the button. So let's go to our width. So we specify the width. Let's clear this. And let's close this. Let's go to our let's go to layout here. Width. Now we want this width to match constraints. We can set it to match constraints, which is way better. Now match constraint. If you don't understand what match constraint is, it's fine. You understand it very, very soon. So we can set that, okay, let's give this a particular margin. We can give it a 16 margin, but let's give this more than 16. Let's give this 40. And let's give this, actually give this 80 on the other side. So let's give this 80 because we want this to align to this. Yeah, it's actually pretty okay. Yeah, then we can drag this, forget your password. You can drag this here. Now we're just trying to arrange everything to look beautiful. Now this guy is not looking beautiful. Our password. Now let's change our width and let's make this. Now we've made this match parent, but we don't want this. We want this to be. This is still 0dp also means match constraints, just to make it clearer. That is there. So if we go to our bata.example, we see here we see that web content. We see that web content. We have it set to 0dp top 0dp. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete the constraint that originally was set for us. So we can come here and see delete left constraints. We can still delete the constraints here. So we're going to delete this constraint. We're going to delete this constraint. We're going to delete the top constraint, and we're going to set it up by our. We're going to come here and drag this, and we're going to create our own constraint by ourselves manually. I'm going to create this. We're going to do this. We're sizing the view. I'm going to push this a little bit, and we're going to do this one more time. Let's give this a width. It has a width. Let's change this to web content. It is smaller. Let's give it a 200 dp. Okay, that's beautiful now. I'm not a designer. 200 dp, so please pardon my design skills. No, it's really amazing. Now we see this is not changing. Let's change this. Oh, I changed. Okay, 200 dp, and it's actually increases the width of the pattern. So let's make this more than 200. Let's make this 220 dp, and let's go back here and let's make this 220 dp. Now what just happened? Who can tell me what just happened now? What just happened now is I set the height to be 220 dp. So if we have done this before, we can go to our file. We can go to our file. Sorry, not file. We can go to edit and click on do, or click on the keyboard shortcut Ctrl Z. So we can click Ctrl Z, which will take it back to where it was. Now we can breathe, and we want to set this to 220 dp, the width itself. And now we have a design that we can actually show to our team. Now we have some constraint issues, so we're going to constrain this top of the constrain this to the bottom. Take this top to this around. Okay, if there's a design, if you're working in your team and you give it a design, please follow your design. Talk to the right of this, take this to the right, and still to the top of this. We don't have any warning. We want to make sure everything here is clean, or we're having some warning there. We're going to fix that too. Just want to use best practices. Come here. We're going to push it a little bit towards the side. Too much. That's fine. So we have our design, we have our login page. So now we can show our see directly that, oh, I've done with the design. Now you can take this. We having an issue with our password. Now let's close this. Let's constrain the top here. Let's take this a little bit back down. And this, there we go. We are fine. So we can go back here, delete this because this was giving us some errors. Go to close this, open close this example, and we have just this here. So we have some warnings. It's telling us missing content description, missing text field does not specify an input type. Now all these warnings are important, and we're going to fix all of these warnings. Now what missing content description means is missing content description attribute on image. So basically, if for example you are loading this from a URL or from the web, your server, it's telling you you need to tell us what this is, and it's most times used for screen readers so they can actually get a content description. So what we're going to put here is we're going to put Flutterwave beta logo. Go back to our next one. Now it gives us another one and saying the hard-coded string. Now let's go to our text is faster. It's telling us, so what it's telling us is that all these input here, we need to put them in a string resource. So we can come here, click on extract string results, and just click on OK. It goes. We can do the same thing for the password. For the password field, we just specify this, and I'm just trying to move off our time. Start string resource. Okay, do the same thing here. Extract string resource. So this more, we're going to see where all of this is going to in a minute's time. Extract string resource. Let's go back to our strings, then we see all of this. So we see it's the name, the value, the name, the value. Now we should not be having errors. So what errors are we having now? Yes, we're having one more content description. So let's do this. Extract. Okay, and now we have just few one. Nice. The next one is telling us that is this first text field does not specify an input type. So remember we want the user to put in a particular text. So you can put in type in input type, and we're going to put in just a text. Come here and specify an input type, which is password, text password, and that is all we have. So this is our little app created, and we can run this. Click on the run button. Our Grady view is running. So basically, I've showed you a sneak peek of Android Studio, showed you a quick tour of Android Studio and how we can design any screen we are given at. We understand the basics. So this is just an introduction to Android. We didn't even talk much about making this login button go to another page or making a validation. We didn't talk about any of those. We just talked about the basics of introduction to Android development. So this is basically what it is. When our app runs finish, then we're going to see how the app looks on a real device or in an emulator. So I'll advise you, if you have questions, please after the class section, please put them in a thread. I'm going to also put a link to Udacity course so that you can actually see how where it all fits in so that you can actually get it clearly there. So we see it's installing. So let's just wait for it to install. We see some warnings here, which we can ignore for now. But we cleared many of their warnings, which is a good sign of best practice. That is what we want to be doing. We will just want to put this method now. Is launching activity and installation are successfully finished? Let's go to, and here we are. We have our app here. We have our email address, which I can come here. If I click this, I should be able to type in my email address, kelvin@gmail.com. No, I think it's gmail.com. Click on next. I put in my password. My password is password. Now you see that effect. Now we go back. Then we can click on forget password. It won't do anything. Click on login. So now we see an issue with this. We see that we need to push our contents, our layout to the top more. But how can we know how to do this? If you go to your screen here, you can choose the device you want to test it for. You can choose for 5.5. Click on 5.5. It's going to load the actual device screen, and you can know it. But this is basically what we just designed, and if you can do this, you should be proud of yourself. You are a pro. You are